What is going on, everybody? I am Julie Riley. I am not Mel. I know you're used to seeing Mel on Wednesdays, but I'm filling in for Mel this week. I am the social media manager here at Streamyard, and I am excited to bring you a special episode of Ask Streamyard. We have an amazing guest this week. We're going to be talking all about content. It is a new year, and we have got to get started, and now is when you need to get started. So, with that, I want to talk to you about a couple things first. The first thing I'm going to talk to you about is we have coming up next week, January 20th, the Thursday, we have the StreamYard Connect Summit. Okay, guys. So the StreamYard Connect Summit is going to include some amazing speakers. We have Think Media is our keynote. We have Rachel Miller, Roberto Blake, Marco Montemeo. I'm going to try to get that right. We have Dan and Gage making some amazing product announcements. We are also going to bring to you some of our engineering team to talk to you about what is coming for StreamYard, what is on the roadmap, and what are we working on. So we're super excited for all of that. I love everybody joining in. I see we've got people from Hollywood and Minnesota, Virginia. So thank you, everybody who is tuning in. We are going to jump into this quickly, though, because I want to make sure we have enough time to cover everything. So a couple housekeeping notes. One, if you're watching this in the Facebook group, make sure that you have clicked the link in the description so that Facebook will give StreamYard permission to see your name. So otherwise, we'll just see Facebook user if you ask a question, and we want to be able to, talk to you and answer your questions. If you're watching the replay, feel free to still drop any questions you have. We'll come back and answer them. If they're a question for our guest, I'll make sure that she sees it and she can come back and answer those as well. Okay, if you have a feature request, we love your feature requests, but send those over to streamyard.com/contact. That's also if you have any technical issues that you're facing. We would love to get those helped for you, but I don't want to, take up the show here and answer those. Okay, so also, while we are waiting here a minute, we've got the StreamYard community on Facebook. That is a great place that you can get advice and reach out to people, connect with other people that are using StreamYard and get some tips and tricks. We also share in there every month some free assets that we want to give you to level up your streaming. So you might see some confetti hanging out in there that we'll give you guys, or some fun little gifts, things like that. We try to focus them around the theme of the month or a holiday. And we're making sure that we're not just covering our US holidays. We're making sure that we're covering those of you in other countries as well. So also, if you have requests for assets, let us know and we'll see what we can do to get those included in future months. Okay, guys, with that, I'm going to bring up our guest, Desiree Martinez.
Hey everyone, what's going on?
Good. So Desiree is a YouTube podcaster, author, longtime award-winning social media creative content creator. I was like, I'll get that out. You have worked on hundreds of businesses and brands to help them grow their business better. You really know what it takes to help your business grow, build a community, get leads through a very noisy feed. You're a hot mess of mom too. I love that. Hot mess of mom too? Two mom?
I'm a hot mess mom of two.
Mom of two. I need more coffee, clearly.
Okay. It's okay. We all need a little caffeine. It's that Wednesday. It's like the literal middle of the week right now. Literal, like it's Wednesday, like heading into the noon hour.
It is. Okay.
I'm here for it.
So, Desiree, you have been creating content for how long?
12 years. I started off with this thing they call Facebook back in 2009. Actually, it's how I got into this. So I lived in Phoenix at the time, and I was just trying to scrape together like some freelance graphic design work. And I started going to all these networking events with grownups. I'm saying grownups because I know I was a grownup. I was like 23. And so they kept asking me, like, what's this Facebook thing? And I was like, why are you guys asking me about Facebook? But Facebook had recently opened up to everybody to have access to it. You didn't need a college email anymore just to get on. And all these people like, how can I use this? Like, what do I do with this? And so I started teaching people through networking, like, hey, this is like how you can use Facebook. This is what your fan pages, that's what it's called at the time. This is what your profile does, and like how you use them. And they were just like in love. And then someone was like, hey, you should do this as a business. And I'm like, no one's gonna pay me to be on Facebook. And I eat my words every day because that's what I've been doing for over 12 years, just working with businesses to help them build their presence. And it's been a journey for sure. We were talking beforehand about like how like far we've come. I used to have to like spend like probably the first 2 years of my business, like, this is what this is. This is why this matters. This is why you should do these things. And they were like, but why? And now people will have like social media pages and Facebook pages before they even have like a website or Google My Business. So it's one of those crazy things. Like, it's been such an interesting journey to be a part of. And like, I'm here for this. I'm also here to help everybody because it seems like year after year, everything changes. So
always, the one guarantee in this field is change. That is, I've said, that is the one guarantee. And that, I think with that though, it's also become something that our customers, our people that you're coaching, that you're working with, have become a little bit more adaptive to that change. Where before, if there was a change, now
I find that they're resistant. They hate it.
Oh, well,
people
I think hate
the change,
but I think that they I don't want to say understand, but that they know that it's one of those inevitable things. They don't like it, and they will fight it. But I remember before where when there was a change, they would be like, no, but it's this. And I'm like, it was, but now it's this. And they're like, no, it's this. And I'm like,
it was, but not anymore.
So I think where now they're like, but I liked it that way. And we're like, I know you did. But it's not that way anymore. And so then it's teaching, coaching them through that.
Yeah, no, I totally 1000% agree. And the thing that makes it more and more, I think, difficult for creators is, there are companies like Sendable where they have a dedicated person like Julie on the team, where their whole job is to just be up to date with social media, make sure that they're relevant, create the content, make sure that everything is flowing and doing what it's supposed to do. But a really big chunk of business owners are solopreneurs or really small teams. And so it's hard for them to keep up with it because it's more work for them. So it's like, how are you supposed to be able to do more? How do we have to keep up with it? Why do we have to do these things? And the thing about being a business owner that everyone doesn't realize is that not only do you have to do your job, but you also have to market your business. And like, whatever you do, whether you're a chiropractor or a dentist, whether you're a roofer, whether you're a plumber, whether you're sitting at a desk or you're doing something really manual labor based, whatever it is, you have to market your business still. And so it comes one of those things that's like, ugh, like I have to do this too. And I have to know how to do this too. And so it gets daunting and frustrating when things are always changing, when there's new things that you have to pay attention to, keeping up with trends, which is I think a new concept over the past few years, staying relevant, not being able to batch your content out months and months in advance. Like, all these things have changed, what makes it harder. And I think when it makes it harder, it means it's less likely that someone's going to do it.
Yeah. Okay. So why is developing your content strategy something that is so important?
Well, because you got to know what you're doing. Like, and there are still some things that are always consistent. In the 9 years I've been doing this, the one thing that has never changed is the need for a content calendar. Because and what this means when it comes to content is like, what's a content calendar? A calendar is a literal calendar that tells you, on this day of this month of this week, we're going to post this thing. And a lot of things, which is kind of nice, come in seasons and patterns. So there's some things that every industry can't avoid, like the holidays. There are some things that a lot of businesses can't avoid, like seasons. But then there are a lot of things that happen on an annual basis. Like, for example, we're in January. So like January through April, it's tax season, right? Or January or December through February is winter. So like, what do we have to talk about that has to do with winter? We have the holidays like New Year's, and everyone goes into New Year's resolutions, new me, new you, new me, all that stuff. You've got Valentine's Day, we've got St. Patrick's Day, we've got Easter's, the holidays that never change. So, and with New Year's come things like insurance changes happen on a year-to-year basis. Governmental what is the implication happens, implementation happens. See, you're the only one that needs caffeine. It happens every year. And so they're like, there's these things that change. So what's nice about the calendar is it allows for us to provide like, here are the things that are ride or die, never going to change. And here's what we do around them and reflect on like what happened the previous year that we can apply to this year. Like, when are we going to be busiest? How do we know what sales are going to happen? How do we know like when our dead periods are going to be, and like when can we use things? And then once we have like those ride or die base things that never change, then we can add in our business objectives. Like, what are the sales that are going to happen? What are the promotions I need to run? When are we going to do things like have an online summit? When are we going to do things like, okay, it's time for us to really push for this new masterclass that we're going to be launching, or this new product or service we're doing, or this new fashion thing that's happening. There's all these different things. So those are the base things, like the objectives of that are supporting our business. And then the third layer that goes into a content strategy is the extras. And I call these, I don't want to say them as filler content because once upon a time they were, but these are the extras. These are the things that keep you relevant, keep you present, and you have to make sure that your content is engaging, but like related to your business. Like, it doesn't make sense to talk about politics if you're not in politics or state stuff. Like, it doesn't make sense for you to talk about like Hanukkah if your business is atheist. Like, so it's just like, how do you stay relevant within content and fill in the gaps where needed? And so with that content calendar, we know, okay, this is what's happening in my year, in my month, in my quarter. Now, what do I have to create?
Right. I would love to see a show of hands from our audience. How many people have a content calendar, have their content strategy planned out, and how far do you have it planned out for the week, for the month? Or are you one of those like that have gone ahead and planned out a framework for your entire year? Where do you fall in there?
And the content calendar is so frustrating. Like, for me, I used to be the person that was like, because I also, a big part of my business marketing is YouTube related, right? So I used to have like, okay, it's here's my planning day, here's my recording day, and it would be like a month of content would just get done at a time, 6 weeks of content. And then when we were in the Air Force, like, we would move and be like, okay, I'm moving, so I know I'm not going to have these things for 2 to 3 months. I need to plan it all out, record it out, and get it all ready. Like, that's what. But now I can't do that. Like, now I'm like, because I live in YouTube space, I have to be paying attention to my analytics and my data, what's performing well, what's not performing well, what's trending, what's not trending, what's relevant, what's not relevant. And so I actually listened to this really fantastic podcast yesterday on the Think Media podcast with Vanessa Lau, who is an industry expert when it comes to Instagram and things like that. And she talked about how, like, having her content calendar, her content planned months in advance and things like that actually hurt her business and her brand and with the algorithm, because it was too rigid. It was too strict.
Yes.
And so I think that in 2022, the question I think to ask is like, is the content calendar dead? Is the content calendar necessary? And how, and like, figuring out like, is this something I need? Is this something that I should do? Or what does it look like in a modern world? And I think that that's one of the things that we could dive into today. I love to know what our audience thinks. Like, how are you guys thinking about using content calendars while also staying relevant and trendy?
Yeah. And I think I've been reading some of these as we've been going through them, and I'm popping them up, and people talking about, I have it planned for the first half of the year, or I plan it on the day. And I think where you were talking about with that podcast, there's a balance between being locked into something so rigid that then, the world shifts and falls upside down, and suddenly your content strategy no longer applies. So then you're having to shift it and adjust it, or having it too loose to where you're constantly scrambling. And I mean, we want to say that we're all going to be healthy all the time and we're never going to get sick. But I mean, right now we live in an inevitable world of things that can happen. And I think it's one of those too, where you also don't want to be so loose that if you do get the flu or corona or any of those other, you just get bronchitis, your kid gets sick and you're busy.
That's the one.
I mean, it doesn't have to even be you. It can be anything that disrupts just your normal routine. And if you're flying by the seat of your pants all the time, then you're going to have a gap in your content, because suddenly you're going to be like, I don't have anything prepared. I don't have anything ready that can go out to fill into those spots. And so it's that balance between, a rigid box that you're locked into, and then too
And I've always thought that way about live streaming. Like live streaming relies on me being healthy, camera ready, my electricity working, my internet flowing correctly. Like, and so if your strategy is all just live streaming, you're also running into an additional issue. It's like, well, again, what happens when you can't show up? How is your brain going to grow? What can you do? Like, what is the plan that's in place? Even with Streamyard, literally a live streaming platform where you guys go live like 3 times a week. You still have content as a part of your plan, even like your YouTube channel and stuff, where it's like, this is pre-recorded search-based content that is solving problems for our community that we can use when we can't be here live or in addition to our live streams. And I think that that is what we should really focus on when we're thinking through our content strategy. What is the base stuff that kind of never changes in our business? Like for me, it's how to do things in social media. So like I just recorded a quick short this morning for YouTube about how to reply to TikTok comments with a video, right? It's like, it's a very quick video. I can put together pretty easily in like 15 minutes. And I have that ready to go and post up tomorrow, you know, and I also have series that I'm doing. Like I know people want to know about TikTok. So right now, today was actually the first day. I have a TikTok series that's coming out where I partnered with somebody else to like create the content because I'm no TikTok expert. So let's not go there today, but you know, he knows what he's doing. And so I have his content come in, but I also have these things that have come up and I'm like, I need to do a video about that. For example, with the content thing, when I was listening to Vanessa Lau on the podcast yesterday, I want to do a video that's like, do you need a content calendar? Like, is that something that we need? I think that's something that we should search for. Another thing is like how to market your business without Facebook. Because so many people in my comments are like, Facebook is frustrating. Facebook isn't working. What else can I do? And I'm like, okay, well, this is a video I need to do because my audience is asking for it and it's something relevant and trendy. And then I can hop on really fun, fast trends. Like right now, the Encanto soundtrack is taking over the world. You know, we don't talk about Bruno. It's played on repeat in my home right now. And I am here for it, by the way. I think it's fantastic. Again, when you have children, it gives you an excuse to enjoy childish things more. But it's a very popular, it's like the #1 album in the world right now, which is on Billboard's Hot 100 is the Encanto soundtrack. And so, you know, I was like, this is a really popular song on TikTok and Reels. So I'm going to create a short telling people like, this is a trend alert. Listen to this song, like use this song as a part of your brand in some way, shape, or form, like tie it in. And so it's just one of those things, like it's how you can stay relevant. So by having your base to work from and those things are in place and those things are mostly unmovable, maybe you have to reschedule them for another day because something trending pops up or the world has a disaster of some kind. And you need to like reshuffle it, but at least it's been made and created. And then we can shuffle it there. And then you have the freedom, the opportunity to tap into trends. And I don't think there's a problem of posting too much. I think there's more of a problem of not posting at all because we didn't have a plan or we got sick and didn't think about something or a life happened or life happened around us and we weren't able to be present because we live in a world where if our internet things aren't running in some way, shape, or form, it's going to affect our business. And the worst thing that we can do as business owners is stop marketing our business.
Yes.
Like the number one thing in networking is like, it's like you don't start networking when you need business. You stay networking all the time. And because it's better to have too much business or business you have to refer out to a partner or contractor or something than be scrambling in a place of desperation because you haven't done something. Yeah. So that's why being consistent and being steady and having your marketing objectives while also being trendy are so important for your content strategy. And these are things that have not changed. 12 years of this, that fundamental foundation has not changed.
Right. Okay. So we have a question that says, I don't have a calendar, but I'm needing one. What do I do to put one in place? Where do I get started? And then we had, also what system should we use to schedule our content? So kind of go hand in hand there.
So how do you create a content calendar? This is a fantastic question. And the reason I ask is because I feel like it's different for everybody. And it's really based on like what you prefer. Now, I think that there are kind of a couple of different ways to look at this. One, I think that you really want to dive into like asking yourself a series of questions. And these are going to be questions like, okay, what is happening in my business? Mm-hmm. What do I want to happen in my business? How do I need to tailor my messaging to support what I want to do? what do I want to lean into? What is working well? What do I want to try? Right. So there are these different things that you can kind of ask yourself to get into that. And then again, it's sitting down. What are the constants in my business? Holidays are constants for everybody's business. So you always want to establish those. But it's like, when are you always busy? Like a CPA is always busy between now and April. And then they probably get really busy in like September, October time for the business extension people. It's like, so then we know, like, okay, that how do I want to talk about my business in this time? Do I need to take on, when am I taking on business? When am I educating my audience? Like asking those kind of questions. For churches, I'm sure that they're really, really busy, like around important holidays. You know, we've got things like Easter. We have things like Ash Wednesday. We have things like Christmas, the month before Christmas. You know, and you know, going into different kinds of things of like if it's snowing and cold, people probably don't want to leave as much. So it's like knowing the patterns of your business and when you can lean into things. Like if you know you have more people available who are paying attention and watching, listening, do bigger things then and support the business. And then we have more things like maintaining our messaging and our branding and slowly pushing out objectives, right? So those constants that never change, we need to have a map for those. So by knowing what your objectives are, our sales, our promotions, what we want to do, what's working, what we want to try, and then our constants, then it's literally a matter of sitting down with a calendar. And so there's two different ways to sit down with a calendar. Well, I mean, there's a bunch. The simplest ways, let me give you three. The three simplest ways to sit down with a calendar, one is pen and paper. Like you can print off a calendar and then you can go through. And I have a video I can share with everybody. I did with Sendable, which is a content management strategy that kind of breaks a lot of this down. But you can get an actual calendar. There's like thecontentcalendar.com you can go to. It's like a book. You can work it out, fill it in. You can sit down with a social media management tool like Sendable or Agora Pulse or Hootsuite and kind of look through the calendar and schedule things out in there. Or you can use a spreadsheet. It's actually what I use in my agency. We use Google Sheets to schedule to plan everything out. So every month has a spreadsheet, and we go and we put the dates in, we put the holidays in, we put our themes, our objectives, our hashtags, and then like what our message is and what content is that we need to make to support it. The objective of the calendar is to let you know, not only know what your messaging is and what needs to go out, but it also works as like a to-do list. What do I need to do to support this message? Do I need to create a video? Do I need to create a long form video or short form video? Do I need to create a video, a picture? Do I need to create a carousel? Do I need to go live? Like these are the different things that can allow for you to create content, give the to-do list of what I need to do to support this message and this objective of what I'm trying to do. And that's again what the content calendar is all about. The content calendar is all about, how do I share my stuff appropriately? How do I get my message out? How do I engage with my audience and my community in a way that's effective, where I'm not just selling, but I'm also supporting and engaging with them? And what is the medium in which I'm going to do that? So I don't know. I could pull the video up and then maybe we could share it in the screen share. Maybe. But it's just this really great video that I did in partnership with them that allows for us to, that kind of really maps that out. Let me see if I share my screen.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, you guys, I think you're going to have to find what works for you too. You know, I saw somebody say that Google Sheets and pen and paper didn't work for them. And that's okay, because what's going to work for one person isn't going to work for another necessarily. I use Asana for mine. And what I like about that is, you know, suddenly we have some content that we need to get out because we made an announcement that wasn't planned in my strategy. And I can drag and drop what I had on that day to another day. And it's still on my calendar. I just shifted it to a different day. And I use that. So it's using what works for you.
Yep. Yeah. So, it literally is like, for me, I hate paper. Like I hate paper so much. I had the paper content calendar. I tried to fill it in. I tease myself, I'm a planner failure. I try planners. I'm doing one right now. I'm trying so hard to make it work. And I'm just like, I just forget, because it's like reflective. Like, what do you need to do? What's your affirmations? What did you like in the day? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not that like, I think it's my artistness. I'm just kind of flighty sometimes. So, but it's just one of those things I think that allows for you to figure out what works for you. And you have to try things. This is marketing. This is marketing or testing what works. And if one doesn't work, it doesn't mean you give up. It means okay, this method didn't work for me. Let me try and find this different way to do it. And I really think that our world is divided up into two types of people, digital people and pen and paper people. And once you know which one you are, then you can find the right method that you can do to support it. I think online is better because then it's collaborative and you have a team to help you with stuff.
Yeah.
So like for us at our agency, we use Basecamp for project management, and every client has a project and we add the appropriate members to the team. And then we have one place to communicate. We have our calendar of assignments, who's responsible to do what to make things happen. We have one place that all of our files live and breathe so that we can all access them and get to them. It just makes things really easy when you have a team to have like one central place to have everything work for you.
Yeah.
So.
Real quick before I move on to your video and I answer this one, and I think this is a good point, said, why can't you just use your email calendar?
If that's what you want to do, time to get going. That's what I said, digital and pen and paper, and you find the one that works for you.
Yeah.
Here's why I think an email calendar might be, because I think about my Google Calendar, and I think about like having my content plan in there would just make me crazy because my day is already pretty planned out because I have dedicated times for things, and I have like this going on, and all of a sudden I see this, I'm like, and my team doesn't have it becomes that's my preference. But that's what works for you to get it done. What's the most important is that you have a method to plan out your content so it gets done. Right.
Yes.
So it's really, I think, just that matter.
I would lose it in my email calendar because there's so much on my email calendar that I would never keep track of it.
Yeah. And like I said, you need separate tools. I think do separate things. Like when I'm in the mindset of Basecamp, I know I'm here for my team and my project and my clients. When I'm in my email, that's where I'm taking care of things I need to get done, my communications. My calendar is guiding me through what I need to do and get things done by so that I can get them done. So it's like, that's how my mind works. And so that's why I think that it's best to find something where you have just, all I do with this thing is plan my content.
Yeah. Are you ready to share that?
Yeah, I have it up for share the tab.
I'll pull it up.
Yeah, so this is just a video about how to create a content calendar for your social media. And it really just dives into a lot of things that we talked about and maps out for you things that you might need to know to help you through it. Like, reviewing your strategy. This has it from the perspective of like you're an agency, but I think that literally everyone can apply these same things to it. What holidays should you be doing? Again, address the things that we kind of already talked about. If you need to reference it, this is really good. I put the link in the YouTube chat. If anyone wants to grab it as well. So if you want to know, or you can just DM us and I can give it to you if you really want to know.
You dropped it in the private chat, didn't you?
I did. It's in the private chat, and I put it into the YouTube comments.
Right, so
I usually keep the comments up when I'm on here.
Drop it in the regular comments for everyone else. The only one it won't go to is the Facebook group because Facebook won't let us put comments from within StreamYard into the group. So if you are in the group watching this and need it, just tag me and say, need the link.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that we had another question that was up there.
We did. I'm going to pull this down.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then I know I've got at least one more. Well, one that I'll address real quick. I get it at least every show I'm on. It's tech question. Why aren't either of you wearing headphones? Are you wearing headphones?
I'm not.
Oh, well, I am. Mine are the Me. So they are here. They're wired. We get this every show.
Oh, really?
They're like invisible headphones, basically. And I love them. And they were like $17 on Amazon. They were dumb cheap. So they're the MEE headphones.
Yeah, I don't wear headphones because I have set up my space to live stream. And so I have minimized my tech issues that would cause echo or latency and delay. Yeah. So I don't even have headphones down here. Like that's how like unconcerned I kind of am about it. And also what's nice is that within StreamYard is that we have the ability to adjust our audio as we're doing things. Like, so if there's a problem on Julie's end, because she's the host for this, she can have things, we have the echo cancellation within it, which helps minimize that kind of stuff. So that's why I don't do it. I also use an Ethernet connection, and I have business internet. Here's my hack. Okay, if you're actually going to walk away from anything in this conversation, even if you're just a Joe doing stuff, you don't run a business, you're not doing anything crazy, sign up for business internet. You do not actually have to have a business to have business internet. And here's why. Because when you have residential internet, you are sharing your bandwidth with your neighbors, and they think of it like a cylinder, and every one of your neighbors is in the cylinder. They're trying to jam as much into that, and everyone is sharing it. But when you have a business line, you have your own cylinder, so no one shares internet with me except for the people in my home. And so by having an Ethernet connection, I have stupid fast upload speed and even more stupid download speed. So just do it, guys. It's worth it. So worth it.
Yeah, I have business internet, and it's such a difference. And it was one of those where I actually, the price had gone up a little higher than I wanted. So I called and I was like, I might just switch back over to the residential. And they were like, oh, but we could put you in under this package, which actually upped my internet speed for less money. I was like, sounds great. So call and complain too. And
it's also one of those things that you should know. When you're not sharing your internet with your neighborhood, you don't need as much as you think you do. Mm-hmm. So you pay about the same. So I live in rural Michigan, and I have Comcast Infinity internet. I love it. Not a single problem. And when I lived in Phoenix, Arizona, in the city, I had Comcast, same exact thing. Or sorry, Cox, same exact thing. Mm-hmm.
I've got Cox here.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay, so we do have one question came up. We have, how do you fight procrastination even though you like to plan?
Oh, usually what stops me from procrastinating is I get bit in the butt. Usually I've missed something or done something wrong, or an opportunity was missed because I didn't pay attention to something. So that's usually what it is. Usually it's an outside external infliction that causes it for me. As far as procrastination, it's kind of what are the consequences of procrastinating? What happens if you do? I know a lot of people that thrive under pressure and deadlines. Deadlines are very helpful for me as well. But to fight procrastination, I suggest a hard deadline and a level of accountability and a consequence. If you're really having a consequence. So one of the things I've done in the past when I've had a big project, I will give someone I trust cash and say a significant amount of cash. And I say, hey, I don't get this done, you keep this. Ooh. And then they have to give it back to me if I don't. And I've never had to give up the cash. So it just allows for me to have that really rough, hard way to make sure I accomplish a big project I want to get done.
Yeah.
Because if there's no skin in the game, if I have no hard consequences for something, there's no, nothing happens. So that's what I do. I don't know. Do you have anything that you do, Julie?
I have to calendar block myself time out, and I just have to lock that time in and say, this is the chunk of time that I'm going to work on this block of content planning. And I narrow it down too. So I'm not just going into it going, I need to plan content and I've given myself an hour. I go, I need to plan the evergreen content for the next month. I need to plan our event content for the next month. I need to plan our holiday. So I narrow it down to something specific that I'm planning. And that helps me with all of the outside factors too, coming in and going down that rabbit hole of going, okay, I started to plan this, but then I also remembered I needed to work on this. So the other thing I'll do is I'll keep a notepad next to me. And when I'm working on one project, anything else that pops into my mind just gets written on the notepad and shoved to the side. And that way I don't end up on one project and over here and then back over here. I'm locked into, I am working on that one project for 1 hour. And that's my time dedicated to that.
You also have to minimize your distractions. So close your email, put your phone on silent and face down. It has to be paired. You can't or away from your site. And like I said, focus. And you know what helps me too is music, but not my super sweet 90s mix, but like when you go into Spotify and you can like search, they have focus playlists
I use
based
Brain
on,
FM.
yeah, so different like ones that you can do based on like you're studying or you have a project. They have like different like lo-fi beats or like soft but like pacey kind of music that really helps as well. So I it's honestly it's at the end of the day though, procrastination is about self accountability
Mhm.
and what happens if you don't do it. And I think that the hardest form of self accountability is within yourself. I think it's different when you have a job because there's like other people that are counting on you and there's a consequence of like I could lose that job. But I've run my own business for 12 years. And so it's one of those things, it's like the only person that I'm hurting is me when I'm not doing something. And so like it's just kind of one of those things that you kind of just gotta like have that hard look at yourself and be like, okay, why do I procrastinate? Why do I get stuff done?
Mhm.
Why is it that I get other stuff done when I'm supposed to be doing something else? Like just having that kind of like
Yeah.
honest conversation with yourself. Like who say me if you're like, I have this really big project I have to do, let me go clean my house. Like right.
I've done that numerous times. But
Ooh, my
yeah.
desk is really messy right now. Ooh, I'm gonna reorganize my office, you know.
Mhm.
The
Something else I've allowed myself to do that helps with that when I have those big projects and then suddenly I'm like, "Ooh, this and ooh, that," and all of the little outside factors that are filtering in is I will again use that calendar or that time blocking and I'll say, "Okay, I need to dedicate 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever time it is, and then I get to go dedicate 15 to 30 minutes to that." And
yeah,
I set a timer, and as soon as that timer goes off though, then I come back and then I'm 15 to 30 minutes back onto that project. And so I may sometimes swing back and forth to give myself those moments of breaks in that distraction zone.
yeah, I hear you. And you know, I'd love to piggyback on this. If you could pull up his question, Nicholas Snow asked us, with all this remote working, how do you keep motivated without real world interaction with your teams? I am a freak. I have worked from home for a very long time. Um, but what I do find that helps me is I get human interaction,
Mhm.
whether it's with my team or not. So obviously in the early COVID days, we were all like scared to even like talk to our neighbors and our family members in person, right? And so it became this whole thing. But now I think that we have a better handle on it. And so how I get my human interaction is I have standing dates with people that I do stuff with. So like I have a standing date with my husband who
Mhm.
is home too, so that I get to spend time with him. I have a standing date with my cousin. Like we go do something together every month. I have a standing date with a friend. We have a date night every night, every month. And so it's kind of like those things I can do to get my fix. I also found that having just Zoom conversations socially
Yeah.
was really helpful. So Julie and I are in the social media world, and so we have hundreds of people in our networks we've never met.
Oh yeah.
I have clients I've never met. I think all of my clients, except for like one or two, I've never met. And it's one of those things that's like, so if I want to socialize and interact and get my extrovert fill, because I'm a super
Mhm.
extrovert, I will schedule Zoom calls with people. And so COVID actually kind of gave me a nice opportunity to like reconnect with people and
Yeah.
just have like really fun one-on-one conversations. I had all these people. I'm like, I've only interacted with you in person at like a conference and then like in the comments of something, but never like let's just have a conversation. Like Julie and I are like that exact same situation. We have like let's have like the actual Zoom conversations. Like, what do you need? What are you doing? How's life? Why'd you make this change? What's going on here? Hey, where did you get that really cool thing in your background? Like these are the things that like you can have in those conversations just to socialize. My
Right.
husband does this too. Our best friends live in Seattle, and he has a standing coffee date with his best friend on Thursdays mornings at 11 a.m.
Mhm.
And like that's what he does every day to make sure that they have dedicated time. So it's like making people a priority for your mental health.
Yeah.
And I think and that's what keeps me motivated and reminds me what I'm doing. Because I've said this for years. If I can start my day talking with somebody, especially if it's like in my industry or in my business, or I'm helping them with a problem or whatever, I get so amped for the day and I get so much more done in that day than I do when I've just gone like days without talking to people beyond like my children and my husband and my dogs. So You just have to figure out but it took time. It took time to
Yeah.
figure out what motivated me and what got me there.
And then I think for, like for us at StreamYard, we have every Thursday we've got a block of time that's a come and go as you want lunch Zoom. It is not a meeting. It is a come grab your lunch, sit and eat your lunch and chit chat with your coworkers, some of whom you've never met in person, most of whom you've never met in person because StreamYard is 100% remote. Um, or we have a once a month game day where we have an hour of time that we get together and just play online games over video with each other. And so we use like Pictionary or things like that that you can play online with our team that add some of that fun element to it that aren't just all business conversations. So I think it's removing some of the business conversations and saying, let's just have a conversation. Let's just have fun. And that keeps the motivation there.
It's so easy to get stuck in a cycle of work.
Yeah.
So easy. Another suggestion would be make sure that your office is in a place you can like literally step away from.
Yes.
If you can, as much as possible. Like even if like you're in a studio apartment, find a way to like turn your closet into your office. You can like shut the door and like walk away from it, step away from it, because you need to be able to have, if it's just sitting there, it just tempts you, and then you just crawl back to it, and then you crawl back to it. You don't take
There's
time
no
for yourself.
Separation between work and not work at that point. Then it's all work.
Yeah, for sure.
So when people are working, let's circle back kind of to some of our content and everything. And when people are creating all of this content, I hear so many objections. And one of the ones that I know we have some great examples of, but I hear all the time is that I don't have anything to talk about. My business isn't interesting. My business is boring. It's not something that really is enjoyable to talk about on social. So what do you have to say to that? Because I know where we're going with this, but I would love for you to share what would work for our audience when you hear that.
First and foremost, if you don't want to do it, don't. And I know I'm probably like kicking myself, but guys, there's so much flipping crap on the internet that we have to do. Don't. Like my word in 2022 is simplify. I don't want to spend time doing stuff that stresses me out because I feel like I have to be somewhere. And not every social network is right for you. You don't need to be everywhere all of the time. Could you have a really solid repurposing strategy? Yes. But do you have time to do that? Do you have a team member you're willing to pay to do that? Like these are the things you have to ask yourself. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. It's just going to make you so unhappy and so miserable. Now, that's in regards to like the extra things. You cannot not have an online marketing strategy. I'm sorry. I don't care how much business you get from networking in person. I don't care how much you love your BNI group or your Toastmasters. I don't care how much you are speaking all over the world in all these different conferences and expos. You have to be doing something online because you never know what is going to happen in the world, in the business. Like Julie and I know a ton of professional speakers. And when COVID hit, they were devastated. And it was a lot of like, how do we recoup this lost revenue? Because they can't just be like, well, you owe me the money. Like they can't go because it burns the bridge at the conference. They don't know what it's going to be like for forever. Like there's all these things. Like it's devastating. One of the things about having a job that is devastating is one form of income, right? And it's just kind of one of those things like when you are a W-2 employee, if you're reliant on that income completely, if it goes away and you have no say about it, it goes away. So you have to look at what you're doing online the same way. You can't put all of your eggs into one basket and you need to diversify what you're doing. I know that kind of goes against my argument of like, you don't have to be everywhere, but it's kind of one of those things that's like, just start somewhere. Pick a place online that you can dominate in, that you can like make your go-to place, your number one, your for me, it's YouTube. YouTube is my ride or die. And it took me years to get to that. I have a Facebook page for my personal and I have for my business. I haven't posted on it in months because it doesn't help my business. It doesn't like social media marketers are a dime a dozen. Like we are kind of everywhere, and especially ones that are company, we're just like fighting. Honestly, we're fighting for business, but we're all vying for business, and it's just I don't want to be there. We know how many of those social media marketers are not on YouTube. A lot of them are not on YouTube. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go spend my time over there because I know the strategy works. I'm not just posting and hoping. I'm literally making content that is search based that solves the problems my potential customers have, and I have a way to gather their data so that I can continue to talking to them on my terms. I'm not reliant on Facebook and YouTube to get every single piece of my content or every message I have in front of them. I get to have control of that because I have built an email list that allows me to talk to them in my weekly emails. So it's just one of those things. Like, so if you don't want to do something, genuinely don't do it, but not at the detriment of not doing anything.
Yeah. So when you're saying, I hear the don't be everywhere, and that's something that was really hard to drill into my clients' heads when I had a client, because the first thing they'd come out is go, well, but I need to be on TikTok and Instagram, and now Instagram has Reels, and I need to be on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn, and it was content overwhelm for
Yes.
many of those. And so that's where we would tell them, okay, start where your audience is spending the most of their time. Where is your audience going to go watch you? Are you targeting the, TikTok generation and you need to be over there? Are you dealing with people who are going to come watch your content and strategy over on YouTube? Um, Facebook's probably one of the hardest ones right now because it is noisy. But if you've got an audience that you've built there and they're coming to you there, then spend your time there. And so that's really that developing that start where they're at. Then you can, once you've got that solid, you can start to branch out into some others and go, okay, now I've got some extra time. Now I can play over here. Or now I can add in YouTube shorts because I've developed a good, strong YouTube strategy. So you can start to kind of play with the other extras that are in each of those.
Yeah. And if you want to be other places, you have to, I think, ask yourself a question. Do I have time for this? Or no, the first question is why? Why do I want to do this?
Yes.
How is this going to help my business? And two, do I have time for this? If you don't have a real professional objective outside of just like testing it out for it, and your time is not an answer of yes or no, then don't do it. But if you're like, I want to test this and I have time to do it, then I would say yes. Or even ask if it's like a sub question, do I have time? Do I have a team member that can like do this for me? And so it's kind of things like, again, with my TikTok series with Austin Armstrong, he crushes it with TikTok to bring him leads into his agency. And one of the things that he started to do is like repurposing his TikToks in other places. And like he makes them into Pinterest pins and he turns them and puts them onto reels, and he's getting like over 500,000 views a month or impressions a month from his repurposed TikToks on Pinterest. Like that's massive.
That's amazing.
And and it's just from repurposing content he already has, but he's decided to test it, and then it worked for him, so he made it part of his strategy. And he has his team members that are helping to put the things in place.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that you just have, like I said, the biggest thing I think that we have learned from COVID and that we should have always had our mind wrapped around is like a value of our time. And like, how are we using it? And it's like, this is time for this and this is time for this. And I don't want to take away from too much of it. Mm-hmm. So again, like we're talking about time, like my personal objective in this year, I'm only working when my kids are in school. My kids are in school from 8:30 to 3:30. That's when I'm working because I don't get time with, they don't get to be, they're not little for forever. And I'm like, eventually I'll probably work longer again, but when they don't like me and don't want to spend time with me. But right now they like me and want to spend time with me. And so I'm like, I'm going to try and enjoy that as much as I can.
Yeah, I've got a preteen. Mine doesn't want to spend time with me right now.
Yeah, like I got like 4 years left, and then I am just like obsolete. And I'm like, I don't want to. And so just kind of like focusing on that kind of a thing. So really, just having the examination of time, not just like business time, but personal time and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I think for a long time, businesses, small businesses especially, really ran off of that theory of the field of dreams theory that if I build it, they will come. And that's not the case when it comes to your digital footprint. It is not just if I build Instagram, I will have an Instagram following.
See, I find Instagram to be the hardest place next to Facebook. It's like the hardest place, I think, to build an audience.
I think if you're the right kind of business and the right kind of again, it's looking at what your business is and looking at what your audience is.
Yeah.
And that you're going to really be able to build a strong content strategy over there. But it's not going to be the landing pad for everyone.
No. And that's kind of the point. Not everything is for everyone. Not every business is for everyone. Not every business is for every platform. I don't think, like I said, as a social media marketing agency, I never in my years of this found value and growth in my Facebook page.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. But I would never advise a restaurant or a retail store or people who are like personal brands who have an aggressive strategy and doing lives so that like I would never advise them not to be on Facebook. I have tested it and I know it does and doesn't work for my business. That's why I don't prioritize. I even with Streamyard. If you ever look at Streamyard on Facebook, you know where Streamyard is popping? The community, not the page.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of one of those things. It's like they're using Facebook here's Streamyard. They're using Facebook in a very specific way. And the thing that's been great about Streamyard, it's been that way since the beginning.
Yeah.
Like back in 2018, 17, when we were launching with like I've been a part of StreamYard since I think the community was like less than 500 people.
You know, I like to say our Facebook page, it's our front yard. It's where you're going to come, you're going to see what we've got, you're going to see our videos, you're going to see our, content that is housed there. But the party, that's happening in the backyard over in the community. And so that's where we're hanging out and that's where we're keeping the conversations going.
And you're posting, you're present, you're there, but where the true, like where like the people come and have the party is definitely in the community. And that's, like I said, and even before though, the page didn't have it wasn't where it is right now until more foundation people were in place on the team. Right. So in order for Gage and Dan to get to that point, they had to hire the team to get it to where it needed to be. It's the same exact principles like to apply to your business. Do you have the team to help you accomplish specific objectives you're trying to do? Yeah. You have to have a conversation with yourself at some point. I have to outsource some of this labor. And that's when, like agencies like mine are really helpful. And there's lots of other programs and things that can help you with stuff.
So we have a question, and I know you prefaced early on that you are not a TikTok expert. So we're going to see where you can stab at this.
Okay.
Not being a TikTok expert. So it says, I've been on YouTube with lives, but TikTok seems to be a great place to be. But content needs to be more silly or mind numbing, I guess. What's the easiest way to get into TikTok mode to create?
Okay, so this is actually really funny because I actually have an answer for this. So the thing that you have to remember with TikTok is you need to do one thing in your video. So talk about one thing and dive into it as quickly as possible. So if your video is only 12 seconds, your video is only 12 seconds, right? But you want to just talk about like one specific thing and add yourself into it. And our objective within TikToks as business owners is to drive them to go do something, right? We're not just wanting them to consume our TikToks. We want them to go to the link in our bio. We want them to go to the message to read more. We want them to do something that allows for us to have longer, more thoughtful conversations, more education to them, or we want them to keep watching our other TikToks, right? When it comes to using it as an individual, yes, be silly, be fun, be engaging, be like raw. What I love about TikTok is the uneditedness of it. Like you don't have to be everything is done on your phone. It's very simple. And it works really great. And everyone has a chance to be found in that For You page. But from a business perspective, we have to make sure that one, yes, playing the game of TikTok, be engaging, quick cuts, share the information and get to the point as fast as possible. But we want to make sure our objective is to make our audience do something. And usually that should be something like watching more, going to our link in our bio, calling us to help them with whatever their problem is. Again, a great example for this from an agency perspective is Austin Armstrong over on TikTok. He does a fantastic job of talking about like different like sites that you can use for SEO because he's a TikTok and SEO marketing.
You have to go check him out.
He's awesome. I love him. You should have him on your show. He's great. And then you can go live on TikTok. I know you can't use StreamYard to go live on TikTok, but you can go live on TikTok, and a lot of people do. And it's just a very interesting place to be. And that's why if you're interested in it, or if you're interested in Instagram Reels, or if you're interested in figuring out YouTube, the best place to start is consumption.
Mhm.
Like all of my clients that I help with, whenever they want to get into YouTube or they want to start using TikTok or whatever, I'm like, well, why? Like what everyone's talking about is like, yeah, but are you consuming it? Like, do you understand what you would do there? Like, what would you do? And so the best homework you can do for yourself, I think, is just to consume and like figure that out.
Yeah. So we're running short on time here. I do see, so Romeo, I see you've asked this a couple times and I don't understand your question specifically. So I said you've used StreamYard, but the video doesn't appear in the content. You're going to have to elaborate on that a little bit and we'll come back and answer you after the live. So I'd be happy to answer, or you can reach out to our support team at streamyard.com/contact and they can help walk you through that.
Yeah.
Uh,
So any other things we should finalize or do or talk about?
Yeah,
Questions?
well,
What do you think?
what final thoughts do you have to share with everybody towards really getting started on this content creation journey of what they're working on for their strategy for the year?
I think it goes back to remembering what the calendar exists for. The content calendar exists to be your guide through how to make sure that your time spent online is purposeful and effective. Posting for the sake of posting, or like, posting, like I forgot to post, like that's not going to work for you. So let the calendar be your guide through what you need to do to be effective online for your business without wasting your time. And then from there, establish the 3 parts. What are my objectives as a business and how do I get them out there? What are the pillars that never change, like the things that are always constant? And then how do I fill it in with engaging content that is relevant to my audience, but also trendy? And then create and schedule and rinse, lather, repeat.
Yeah. And, and I like to say when it comes to your content, this is not, you go back to your like cooking spaghetti and you would take and throw a piece of spaghetti at the wall. And if it stuck, then your spaghetti was ready. This is not the spaghetti method. Do not throw your content at a wall and hope it works.
This
and
is a
hope it
recipe.
sticks. Yes.
A literal recipe. Like when you're making spaghetti, you have to have your water, you have to have your salt, you have to have your noodles, you have to have a stove, and you have to have a stove that works. And then like you have to put them in a specific order and you have to do specific things to make it work. And then on Pinterest, I saw that they use olive oil when they boiled their thing. I want to try that. I have my base. I'm gonna try the olive oil and see how this works or doesn't work, right? The base, the recipe doesn't change, but we can add in the extras to see how it tastes and how it can make the final product better.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to test, but just don't do it for the sake of doing it and going, well, so and so over there was doing it and it works for them, so I have to do this. It's going to work for me. Because what's working for somebody else is not necessarily going to work. And so it's a trial and error method too. I even say that with your live streams, your live shows, when you're planning that out, you may say, okay, I'm going to have my show Wednesday mornings at 11 a.m. And then you start finding that your audience isn't able to be there Wednesday mornings at 11 a.m. And you're going, gosh, I'm just not getting as much. Maybe I need to try Thursday afternoons at 4 p.m. And suddenly you have more people showing up and you're going, okay, this is a better time slot.
Yep.
But it's also one of those, you don't want to shift it so often or shift it quickly. You really have to put the time into truly determining, is this the right spot, the right show, or do I need to shift and adjust?
Yes, 100%. And just remember, don't beat yourself up. Give yourself some grace, but understand that it's important. So don't avoid it.
Well, guys, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today. I do want to remind you to go sign up for the StreamYard Connect Summit that is next Thursday. It's free. Okay, guys, free. There's no cost. So sign up. We've got some amazing speakers. We're going to have some awesome announcements happening. So we're super excited for that. I know that we'll see Desiree there. She's going to be hanging out with us at this summit. So everyone, thank you so much for your time. Desiree, where can everyone go learn more about you, follow you? I know you said YouTube is kind of your spot. So where do they find you on YouTube?
You can find me at all-in-one social media on YouTube, and then I can help you with help you grow your business with better social media and content marketing. So all-in-one social media.
All in one. I'm going to type that out real quick.
It's long, I know. Sorry.
Here we go. All in one social media.
Yeah, you can just find me there on YouTube and all of the internet-y places.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you, everyone else. And we will see you next Wednesday. Mel should be back with you then.
Peace.